Okay, good evening, Ted. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. Yeah. So, today I'd like to learn from you about what your organization is doing and also your advice on how a conservative teacher uh, function, or what should a conservative teacher do in today's environment.
Mhm. Okay. Um, I am open and willing to start discussing which either part you want to go with. So,
Yeah.
um,
So let's about your organization. When's your organization started?
are you now when you say organization, are you talking about the Conservative Teachers of America or?
Right. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. So that's interesting because many times individuals think that I started that group when actuality I came late into the game.
Mm,
I've been very I've just been very active and vocal
right.
on there. In fact, I've only been on there for 3 years. The organization has been around since 2009.
Oh, wow. It's been a while.
It has been. And by what I understand, it was started by an individual by the name of, and I hope I get this correct,
Mm,
Andrew Palmer.
okay.
And for a long time, it was out there and it stayed. And then it they also had a few state groups as well. So we've got the national group, which is Conservative Teachers of America,
All right.
and then we have the state groups, Conservative Teachers of America dash Indiana,
Right.
for example. And so from there, it's the group was existing. And then another gentleman by the name of Kevin Matthews came on. And
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, I consider him the lead admin, if you will. I mean, he's one that's had the longest
Okay.
uh, that's on there. And now there's a few of us, and we've also got a couple moderators because it's grown.
All right.
Um, I've been on there for 3 years. When I first came on, we had about 1,900 members and a few state pages. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got excited about that. And I told Kevin, really, we have state pages? And
Mm-hmm.
so I took an initiative to, and Kevin is the one that created all of the state pages.
Okay.
But I took the initiative to start to expand that because I saw where the opportunity was that if you had conservative teachers finding or having something to go to, even at that
Right.
state level, that there would be an opportunity for us to be able to communicate. Not only that, I saw an opportunity where, and this has actually came to fruition, that if we saw something starting to develop, say in Arizona,
Mm,
some kind of insidious philosophy or bill or law, and then if we started seeing it over, say in, let's just say Illinois,
mm,
something very similar, then we could kind of start watching it and kind
right.
of putting this out and
Right.
communicating and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was the real big thing from there. Then um, about, oh, I'm going to say about a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
we moved from 1,900 members to today. Last count was like 6,544 members.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a huge increase, and with that has come a huge amount of responsibility and
Right.
work.
Right. Definitely. You can have a lot of work on there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so what we tried doing, and so with the increase and so forth, what I did was, especially last year, because I started reading some of these very, very horrible stories
Mm,
of conservative teachers being, well, basically demeaned, isolated in the workplace. Basically, you're pretty much the scarlet letter, if you will.
mm,
You know, um, and I just thought, wow, what can we do about that? So one of the things that I came up with the idea of coming up with the slogan "You're not alone,"
mm.
and we
Right.
actually did that as a hashtag. just to let other teachers know that they are not alone.
Right.
And so that started to build a cohesiveness to where people were starting to come to the national page. And the one thing that we noticed, and we prided ourselves, I mean, we're conservatives. Not every single person on there is not a conservative, but we have rules. And so not all of, we don't agree 100% of the time, but we don't do the stuff that you see on other pages. We don't go after each other's necks. We don't try to dox one another. I mean, you know, the attitude is it's social media. If you don't agree, keep it going. I mean,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
for us, the Constitution is actually what it is.
Right.
You know, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and freedom of free flowing of ideas.
Right.
So that took place. And then this year, we came up with the concept of, I came up with the idea, and I talked to my friend Sherry Story about the We Wear Yellow on Thursdays, which I told Sherry the goal of that was to not only to support and encourage one another, and to really, you know, for teachers to start to take a stand. I knew that I was going to ask them to do this. And I, you know, I didn't know where it was going to go, but I felt confident that, you know, this year at this time, they probably would versus 18 months ago, when a
Right.
lot of them were still living in the closet, if you will. And so Sherry and I talked, and we said, well, what color do we want to come up with? Well, we didn't want to do blue.
Right.
I mean, you know, we know
I
without
like
saying
blue.
anything, I love blue. That's my
Yeah,
favorite color. But
me too.
in this case, no. We didn't want to do red
Right.
because we didn't want to associate necessarily to put people in danger or getting doxxed in, you know, some of these more hostile work environments. Plus, two, Red for Ed. I don't know if you're
Right.
familiar with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't want to do pink because pink being associated more with cancer, you know. So we wanted to come up with something neutral if we could.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's almost like trying to pick a color was almost like coming up with like celebrate holidays now for anything.
Right.
I mean, we got a
Right.
holiday
Right.
for everything in this nation now.
Right.
So it was kind of difficult to do that. So Sherry said, well, why don't we come up with yellow? You know, I thought, you know what, that could work. So we came up with that color. And so the We Wear Yellow on Thursdays stands for showing and pretty much encouraging and standing together as educators, but also to protect the minds of our students
Right.
from indoctrination in our classrooms
Right.
at
But
the same time.
yeah, but in a way you are asking a lot, right? Because you basically ask the conservative teachers to put the target on their back.
Yeah. So and you know, in a sense, yes. I mean, there is that. So what we did was we told everyone. I did a Facebook Live, and I explained it on the page. I said, look, this is not something that's mandatory.
You're right.
You
You don't
do
have to
not
do it.
have to participate. You know, only do what feels comfortable with this. And you're absolutely right, because there are many, and there are some that believe that you know, that's putting a target on our back. But the thing about it now is, if we don't start to stand now, there's not going to be much of us left,
Right. It's true.
because we're going to get rooted out
Yeah. Eventually. Yep. And
eventually.
yeah.
And so
in today's in today's environment, probably quickly.
Right. And so the thought here was, you know, there's always a possibility, but my thought too was that if people are doing this and they're doing it willingly and openly, that would actually start to encourage others to do it, which is
Right.
what has happened. I know that you're, Dr. King, I know that you're on the national page, and you've seen some of the pictures of actually
Right.
schools having 8 people in the same picture that that's wearing yellow.
That is so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in fact, I've now got an administrator at my building who I know is not on the page, but somehow, coincidentally, I don't know, but it seems as though he's been wearing yellow shirts now for the last few Thursdays, and
Ooh.
exactly. And I know he's not on the page.
Mm,
So it kind of, makes you wonder. Also, too, we've now had some parent groups like Moms for Liberty
right.
has stepped forward and stepped forward, and now they wear yellow. Um, let's see, and some others that's out there that I don't necessarily know their names or so forth, but I've had other parents and say, hey, we're doing it as well. In fact, here in Virginia, since we had such the turnover,
Right.
um, on that week, I saw pictures where one parent said, I'm wearing red today in celebration of what we did, but my child, and she had like 2 or 3 kids, they were like wearing yellow. So it was like, we wear yellow for conservative teachers, and we wear red for conservative values. So
Right.
it's been a great journey, and to see what is happening with this. More people, I think it's also started a conversation as well.
Right. Well, the past election must be a quite encouraging to you guys and also to parents, right?
Well, for sure. Again, in Virginia, we have not won. A conservative has not won at a state level office in over 12 years.
Right.
And so the last 2 election cycles here, it's been interesting because the General Assembly on both years, they turn around called special sessions. And they passed a lot of incredibly crazy things, all the way from more gun restrictions to education bills, to taxes on gasoline. It's just been crazy.
Mm.
Hold that thought there, Marie. Come here. This right here is the person that actually gives me my strength. Dr.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This
Nice
is
to
the
meet you.
silent,
Wow.
how can I say this? The silent warrior that,
Yep.
kind of
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
bounce everything off. She looks at me and says, "That's nuts," but she doesn't realize I actually can do it because of her. But Doc, you're out of Indiana too. So
Oh yeah.
she's
Indiana.
from Indiana.
Oh,
and
really?
Yes.
Yes, Muncie.
Muncie. Okay. Yeah. Ball State is in
Correct.
Muncie. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Right. I've been on the campus several times.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh. My
Very
my
cool.
my son did 2 years there.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I did 3 years, and then I met him in
Oh.
Oklahoma.
Oh, wow. So how is Virginia and there for you as a Hoosier?
Um, we've been here so long now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like not a Hoosier anymore. But yes. But yeah, we enjoy Virginia.
Oh, that's
It's
wonderful.
home now.
Yeah, yeah, I like the hilly, hills and all that
Yes.
in Virginia, and also the fall and leaves
Yes.
changing, and just so
It
pretty.
is beautiful right now.
Right, right.
And my mom and my sister are still in Indiana, so we go back not often, but every
Okay.
once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, right now we are trying to fight the good fight in Indiana.
Mm.
I mean, there is so many bad things is coming down. Like even I live in Greenwood, Indiana,
Okay.
which is very conservative city, and the county is very conservative. But we have all those bad things get to the public school. Yeah, we really down to the kindergarten level. It's just so evil.
Yeah, I've shown Marie a lot of the curriculum that's
Yeah.
coming down, and it's phenomenal. It's
Mm.
phenomenal. So, but I just wanted to
I'll let
introduce you to Marie.
Yeah, I'll let you guys-
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, so how we viewed it here in Virginia, yes, I mean, we going into this, because of things that was happening in Loudoun County.
Right.
Then of course down here I'm in Hampton Roads, and there was some stuff that's happened in Virginia Beach, and just next door to me here in Suffolk. I'm in Portsmouth, but Suffolk. So we were seeing, and even I was thinking, yes, we've got 2 of these seats, and we've possibly got 3. Just don't mess up.
Right, right.
Don't say anything stupid. And to be honest with you, our most valuable player in that election happened to be Terry McAuliffe himself, the
Right.
Democrat
Yeah,
candidate,
yeah,
because of the things that he said. I mean,
right.
when he said, and I don't know who was advising him on this or what, but when he said that parents had no right to tell schools what should be in the curriculum,
Yeah,
when everything was blowing up in Loudoun County,
right,
at that point I knew game, set, match.
right, right,
Just
right,
please, someone don't say anything stupid, and we're going to be okay.
right.
So, but the thing is,
What?
though, and this is what people's got to understand in any state and so forth, and I have had very multiple conversations with our new Lieutenant Governor elect Winsome Sears, who, by the way, is phenomenal.
Right.
As I've told her and others, we understand that even though we've got these 3 in, they've got to be covered in prayer, and they got a lot of work to do to undo
Yeah.
a lot of damage that has taken place.
Right.
So
It is. Yeah, I think people like you and has been kind of sounding alarms in the past. It's just like I guess not enough. We just don't have any like media coverage and all that. So what we said got just drowned out. And I think what happened because really their push, especially like you say the National Educator Association, they have a resolution trying to push CRT, and then you have the politicians on the left is basically saying the same thing, that education is out. I mean, parents has no right to really interfere with education, but that's their mindset. I mean, it's not something new. It's just now they got exposed. I mean, they were being exposed for what they have been thinking or what they have been doing in the past many years.
Right, and that is so true. And I guess if there's, and this is not demeaning or disrespectful at all. I understand the seriousness of it, and I my heart goes out to anyone that has lost anyone. But if there has been a blessing off of COVID-19, it's the fact that now parents have been able to see what's exactly going on in their schools, and they're kind of looking at this like, without saying an explicitive, but what the fill in the blank.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
So
because I mean, before people maybe just think parents will, I think most parents think you and me kind of like, oh, they are kind of crazy guys, right? Saying something like because they hear something different. They hear from the administrators, they hear from teachers, most teachers, that they seems everything is fine.
Right.
And then you have some people, I mean, especially what helped me a lot, kind of wake me up, is because I somehow get hold of John Gatto's books. So that kind of wake me up. Like even John Gatto's was being, how to say, being ridiculed and being, deflamed, whatever, to really make him like a crazy guy.
Right, exactly. No, John Gatto, he and that's exactly right. He was ridiculed, demeaned, defamed, but he was right on point.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, the thing is, like, I mean, from it probably is kind of hard to believe for parents, because they never, they grew up, they had the school way back, right?
Right.
Yeah, and but it's easy for us who actually was in the system and have seen what's going on. It's just like need someone actually to express what we saw, right? How we felt. Sometimes like
Right.
in my case, I just felt like something's not right, but I'm not quite sure.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right. And
why?
also,
But he actually explained to it.
right.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is, and I don't fault any parents for this at all. I mean, but I mean, when you think about it, everyone has been educated in some shape or form.
Mhm.
And all of us has either a positive or a negative or in between thoughts on our
Right.
experience. Um, but for the most part, I think most parents and grandparents, and society in general, would, we would turn over our kids to school.
Right.
We trusted those that
Yeah.
were given to care for
Mhm.
our children and thought everything was okay. Little did we know what was creeping in.
Right.
The big thing now is CRT, but bigger than that now is in my opinion, is the LGBTQA plus
Yeah.
um, curriculum that's coming down. Which, by the way, it's all tied together.
Right. It is. Yeah.
The Black Lives Matter, CRT, and the LGBTQA plus are all intertwined in curriculum and stances.
Yeah.
So, and again, it took a pandemic for parents to say, "Whoa, wait a minute! Those that have been trying to sound the bell maybe isn't as crazy as they may sound." And so, I applaud and I encourage what is going on, because the problem is anymore. This kind of leads into your second question there a little bit, is the fact that um you, there is such a toxicity and an insidious philosophy that is occurring. It's not American. Let's just call it for what it
No.
is.
No. 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 No.
It's
Not
not
at all.
Democrat. It's not Democrat. It's not Republican. It's not right. It's not left.
No.
Basically, in my mind, I have resolved as a history teacher that what you are seeing is a full-blown premeditated push to replace, to overthrow, throw out a republic
Right.
and replace it with a socialistic state in
Mm-hmm.
which the state has complete control
Right.
of our lives,
Right.
but will give us tokens to make it look like, you have freedom and liberty,
Right.
make it look like
Mm-hmm.
you can move and about. It's almost reminds me of the show, and I never saw all of it, so I'm hoping it's the right show that I'm saying. But it's almost like the Truman Show, where
Mm.
you had, I think it was Jim Carrey, where he
Right.
thought he
Right.
was living, and then he picked up on that, actually he's a show from,
Right.
that is where we're headed with a lot of this. And again, I got off the phone today with a parent out of Missouri who's asking me, okay, saying, hey, so how can we align parents and teachers? We want to
Mm.
help you, we just don't
Right.
know. And a representative for the NEA out in California today,
Mm.
who happens to be, I had no idea about this. I've been learning from her, but I guess there is an actual small but significant conservative group, if you will, in the
Okay.
NEA that's been
Okay.
trying to do things. But we were trying to talk, and they were talking. She was talking about the Virginia, as what people's calling it, the Virginia Revolution. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah. Definitely today. Yeah.
it was so amazing that on election night, like I'm over at my candidates, we're watching results, and I'm getting all these texts from, I mean, Arizona, Oklahoma, North Carolina, people saying, "Oh, we're watching this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations."
Yeah.
It was in contest with the World Series and the Atlanta Braves. So I mean,
Mm.
kind of a thing. But you asked the question. It's a very good one about what can conservative teachers do.
Right. I mean, because it is basically you are against the main in a way well, first of all, conservative teachers are a tiny minority, right?
Mhm.
I don't know the statistic. I don't know if you know nationwide.
Yeah, I don't either, and it'd be a good number to try and find, but we are clearly a minority. Yes.
Yeah, and also the main culture is very liberal, and then that then that shifted to this critical race theory ideology,
Yes.
and and also, like you said, the LGBTQ, those kind of things, and it's everything against what we believe. And so in that kind of environment, I know most of the conservative teachers just keep silent,
Right.
just trying not to make any noise. Um, but like you said, uh, we just cannot keep doing that. We
No.
just cannot keep silent, because if we do that, I mean, we'll basically will be pushed out sooner or later,
Right.
or we just quit. You couldn't even.
Right. I mean, so I mean, your question's got multiple facets to it, but
Right.
it's a great question. I think all of us needs to ask. Um, with it, I've always said first and foremost for me, and I operated like this when I was on the school board for 2 terms, and what I'm doing in my own classroom.
Right.
Um, and that
Were you teaching at the public school or private
public
school?
school,
Public
no
school. Okay.
public. It
Okay.
always it's been
Are you still teaching at the public school?
yes.
Okay.
Mhm. So, I've always said that, people needs to make a decision on, what's their value system is, what hill are they willing to die
All
on,
right. Mm-hmm.
and you make those decisions well before the time comes. Because if you try to do it when, the time is here,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's not when you build courage and strength.
Yeah.
It's knowing when you're going to do what you're going to do
Right.
beforehand.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Let's continue. Okay.
Yes.
So now, so in your personal experience, have you uh, seen some kind of uh, pressure from administration or from other liberal teachers?
Um, I've been in the same building now for 18 years, and we're like family. But in the last 2 years, I've started to see some clear different things starting to pop up.
Mm,
Especially after January 6th.
no.
There was some of that, but even then, it's not as bad as in, say, other places. Just a case in point, so like after January 6th, we had one history teacher that used primary resources like they've always used. They've probably used those primary resources before. Another teacher got upset about it, kind of a thing. And it was like, wow, kind of thing. Last year I was nominated as a teacher of year candidate,
Mm,
and I didn't get, at the end of the year, I didn't get recognized.
mm,
And I thought it was just an oversight, but then, the whole thing kept going, and like, okay, wow. I mean, I don't, whatever,
right.
kind of a thing, that never happens, but that is that. Um, of course, this year, we, I had to make decisions about the vaccine mandates.
Mm-hmm.
We were told to fill in a survey, which it wasn't much of anything, but having to struggle with that.
Okay.
And then on Thursday, we
Is that
just
an anonymous survey, or like you have to sign your name to it?
it was an anonymous survey from the standpoint I didn't have to put my name on, but to fill it
Okay.
in, it did go to the human resource officer,
Mm,
So, and supposedly him and the executive or the superintendent would know about it. And then,
okay.
of course, just 2 days ago, I had professional development that it was only 18 minutes long. It was a video, but a professional development training that I completely disagree with on multiple levels.
Okay.
So I see where it's going.
Mm,
And again, this is where people have to decide, what hill are you willing to die on?
mm,
And so, you got to know that. And then, in the last, like I said, over the past 18 months ago, people were still scared and in the closet, if you will.
mm.
But now, over the past, I'm going to say about 4 months, I've been in conversation with teachers that said that they did something, a non-compliance, if you will, with administrators.
Mm.
And it's not just being non-compliant to being obstinate, but it was basically what they felt was a violation of rights or something,
Right, right.
that they didn't do it. And I thought, wow, there's something going on here.
Oh, is that mask or vaccine?
No, that was
Vaccine.
not necessarily even mask. It was more just anything that had to do with mask, January 6th. People, administrators maybe making comments or saying something, that teachers just started to stand up, with on these things. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We were told, the history department, to come up with a lesson after January 6th that had to do with, along the question of, is there really justice for all? And I thought about it, and my response back was, nah, I'll stick with the French and Indian War, because that's what we were covering
Mm,
already in class. So, it's things like that, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but in the field of education, that is a whole lot. You
mm.
don't tell administrators no,
Okay.
kind
Right.
of a thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're seeing teachers that's walking out. They're starting their own schools.
Right. Okay. You're
They're
starting your own school? Okay.
learning pods, or they're just getting out of the field
Right.
altogether. So, and it's not that we're throwing in the towel or giving up. It's not that at all, but it's the fact of, if you're going to save students, then we have to figure out a different way of doing this.
Right,
For
right. You had
example, if you think of a war, right?
mhm,
The better side is not always going to win every battle.
right.
And sometimes, in order to win, you sometimes have to flank,
Mhm,
left flank, right flank.
right.
And that is what many are starting to do. We're starting to flank.
Okay.
Because even what you just said, case in point, you said that your school division is pretty conservative. But the problem is, there's policies, especially with gender identity and
Right. Yeah.
LGBTQA. These are now coming down Title IX from the federal government, which then is, state governments have their own versions and so forth. That's going to affect every school division
So
across the United States.
what is Title IX?
Title IX is, everyone knows it as popular as the girls' sports issue.
Okay.
Meaning that if you have like a boys,
Transgender, yeah.
well, meaning if you have boys sports in the fall, then you also have to provide
Girls sports.
sports for
Okay.
girls, the
Okay.
same opportunity.
Okay.
Well, now what they have done is Title IX also covers harassment and discriminatory based upon, sexual harassment.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we've done is we've also said that gender identity, transgender, bisexual, I mean, all of this is now covered under Title IX.
Oh.
Right. And so think about that. That's a federal mandate policy, which we all know it follows down into the states, and then the states come up with their stuff. And so this will affect every school division across the United States. So if you're a parent and you think, oh, it's not here, or it's not coming here, or we're pretty good, we got a good school board, we got a great superintendent, make no mistake, law is law. It is coming if it's not already there. you may
Right.
not even hear about it, and it's already there.
Yeah. So right now, social emotional learning in Indiana is still part of the, in a state requirement. So
Hmm.
any school, it doesn't matter, it's public, private. I mean, private school get vouchers, so they also have to have social emotional learning. So right now, a lot of Christian schools in our state, they have to do social emotional learning because they took voucher money.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting issue that's coming up. We see, especially on the conservative side of the aisle, we need more charter schools or we need vouchers. Let the money follow the kid. But here's the problem with that.
Mm,
Charter schools are still public schools.
right,
It's just that a company comes in and signs a charter and says, we'll have these kind of results.
right,
They still follow the same curriculum. They still do the same tests. They have a lot of freedom and liberty, but they still do the same thing. Vouchers, the one thing about vouchers that I disagree with, unless we can get this changed, is what you just said. The money follows the child, but the problem is, as soon as you take that federal voucher, then you have to fall within federal guidelines. You have to have put in things in place.
right,
The only way to change that is the law would have to reflect that as well. That say, if you private schools do not fall under the same qualifications, guidelines, procedures, policies, da 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 da, when accepting this money from the federal government, meaning that there's still an autonomy. Until the law reflects that, even your private schools are going to be in trouble.
right. Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah. Okay. So, what your organization can do, I mean, your group can do for conservative teachers, what kind of resources that you can provide?
well, so what we've been doing, well, first and foremost, just the simple fact of that whole encouragement and support
Right.
that we have as far as that strength in numbers. In fact, and the page still is continuing to grow even today. Secondly, what we also do, and what I find myself doing too, that if I see a teacher that's got a problem or so forth, I will then turn around and put them or connect them with, say, someone that's had that same problem, and maybe they know, resources, whatnot. We also provide information on alternative unions. There's things out there besides the NEA and the AFT. There's the AAE, the American Association of Educators, and the other one, oh, I don't mean to butcher this, but it's the CEAI. It's the Christian Educators Association, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, which they offer the same things that that is offered at the NEA and the AFT, meaning they offer health insurance, legal representation, all of those things.
Okay.
But it's for teachers that don't agree with what is going on. So we do that. So we do that as well. We give those supports. We try to point teachers in the right direction.
Right. Right.
But I'm going to be honest with you, about 90% of the time, it's teachers making posts on there, and they're just wanting to be heard, encouraged, kind of thing. I think also too, the biggest thing that we do on that page is we actually the people share posts that's coming down about education from all over the place.
Right. 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 So you can get prepared. Yeah.
Yeah, prepared, but also too, you're becoming knowledgeable.
Right. 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 So
I keep telling people here, and I told Winsome Sears, Lieutenant Governor-elect, on this too. People are so surprised about this stuff, the CRT and the bathrooms and Loudoun County.
Right.
And they're like, oh my goodness, where did this come from? And I keep telling people, I'm like, no, look, this isn't new. This is out in California and Oregon and Washington for the past 30 years.
Right. Yeah,
The problem, it's
I
about
remember.
getting here.
Yeah, I remember about 20 years ago, we were talking about, a homosexual agenda was pushed down to the kindergarten level in California.
Yes,
So we just think, oh, that's California, right? That's kind of crazy. But
not
now it's
anymore.
here. Not
Yeah.
it's here. Yeah.
Not anymore. In fact, there's a book that's actually came out. It's probably in your child's library. Could be. It'd be well worth looking.
Right.
But it's called Genderqueer.
Gender queer. Okay.
Genderqueer. Yep. And it's pretty graphic. It's a cartoon-based book that tells a story. I think any parent that sees this would be absolutely appalled and would be absolutely furious that any school would have that book in their
Wow.
library. Now, I say any parent, I also understand and know, and this is how messed up things are. Let's not kid ourselves. There are plenty of parents out here that is very happy with the direction of
Yeah.
where public schools are going.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, as an American, you have that right to choose and so forth.
Right.
I don't get it. I don't understand it, nor will I ever agree with it. But there are parents that are in favor of that, but I think there's a significant amount that are not.
Right.
And,
Right.
and you're starting to see more and more of those parents pulling out. I've said this now I think I've said this with you individually or even on the show, that that in the next 3 to 5 years, that you're going to see a massive pullout of kids from public school. I think you're starting to see that now.
Yeah.
News isn't going to cover it.
No.
but
No. Yeah.
It's happening.
Yep. It is happening. It's happening here in Indiana. We have a city which is a suburb of Indianapolis is called Carmel, and the Carmel school system, they had a $2 million shortfall because, well, first of all, they made they expect to have more students, and then they was expecting there's a 100 student more, but then 200 student withdraw. So it's about like 300 students in terms of their budget. So they got like 2 million shortfall. But the news media, the way they cover it, they never mention anything about parents are not happy with what CRT and DEI and all that. They just say, well, because that place, property went up, it just become more expensive to live, so people can move out, which is totally not true. And they knew it. The thing is, they know it. They just like willingly lie to the people. I mean, it becomes so, yeah.
They do. Well,
obvious now.
They do, and you're going to hear and you're going to see more of that over and over and over.
Right.
There's going to be massive justifications and so forth, but the bottom line is parents do not want these toxic, insidious philosophies in school. And believe it or not, here's a novel idea. Parents really do love their kids.
Oh yeah.
And they want what's best for them. And having a teacher stand in front of the class in a captive audience of first, second, third graders, presenting lessons that have them question if they are do they agree with their gender? Parents don't want that.
No, definitely. Yeah, definitely not. And also you got you have, I mean, they are young kids. They had to take, hormones. They have to have surgeries to change the sex, and those going to be, have serious damage to the body. But right now they don't talk about it. They just encourage the kids, to be whatever they want to be. It's really, really evil.
It is, and I've been saying this for a while.
Right.
but even more so, my soul, even more so the fact that, you know, may God have mercy on us,
Oh yeah.
the adults in our society today that's doing this.
Hmm.
And you know, and that's the other thing too that conservative teachers have to resolve for themselves, and that is, um, you know, I do believe that there is an afterlife, that there is a God.
All right,
His,
right.
his scriptures are clear, and we all must answer to what we do. And I don't want to be the one to have to answer the question of, you knew what was right. I gave you, you know, charge over so many students. You know, why did you teach um, the falsehoods that are going on? You know,
Right.
I don't want to answer that.
No, no, no. Well, have you seen like changing in your textbooks? Like you teach history, do you see now you got some kind of new textbook and they are talking about things different now? Do you see
Yeah.
that?
So yeah. So interesting enough, my goal, my role, what I try to do is all primary sources, but I do have textbooks, and sometimes I'll refer out of there. I have caught material that has been approved for curriculum,
Hmm.
be it also online, you know, ed media and so forth. That's been wrong. The textbooks also have been wrong. But what's about to happen here in Virginia is that all curriculum is to be audited for biases. And the biases are sexual, racial, gender identity. There's like 14 different biases. Yeah, I mean, um, and so that's going to play a role in textbooks, you know, as well.
Okay.
The thing about the steamroll of all of this, as things become more and more codified, you know, even at that federal level, it is going to touch textbook.
Right.
So, yeah, so I have found inconsistencies and wrongs, and so I go out of my way to make sure that I do a lot of authentic primary source lessons
Okay. Yeah.
myself. You know,
Mhm.
that takes more time, it takes more work, but what it also does, though, it makes me that much more knowledgeable
Right.
in my craft and field.
Right. But but um but in a way that actually puts you in danger, right? Because
It can.
you are not teaching, you know, like in China we call the party line. You are not toting the party line, then you will be in trouble. Because
Right. Right. And again, and that is again one of those hills that I'm willing to die on, because
right,
I'm not going to teach a falsehood.
right,
You know, and I'm definitely not going to do it willingly if I
right,
know that it's
right.
wrong.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, for example, what I have done, like in World History 1, you know, we talk about that the world is millions of years old. So that is part of the curriculum. That is
Hmm.
part of it. So what I do is I bring this up. I explain, you know, that there's a Paleolithic, Neolithic era with a Mesoneolithic. But then what I do is, so I've covered the material from that side, right? But then
Hmm.
I also say that those are just theories. It's
Right,
what we think happened. Just like, and then I explain that there are other theories out here too.
right,
There's the theory of the young Earth of
right,
about 6,000 years.
right.
You know, I have no problems when we talk about, say, the River Valley civilizations, Mesopotamia, and they mentioned about the ziggurats. I bring up that, you know, the fact that in the Old Testament, I say this, in the
Mm.
Old Testament, you got the Tower of Babel,
Bible. Yep.
which we think is a ziggurat, and it does fit within
Mm.
the geography. So that's what I do. You know,
That's
I
great.
try to give a complete picture, you know. And so if you want to, I mean, if you want to fire me, or if you want to question, you know, this because I'm giving a full picture, I mean, you know, that's what I learned years ago from Marie. I can't change what people's going to say or do. I can only
Right.
react to it.
Mm.
And so, you know, I'm going to continue to do and speak and teach to what is accurate and
Right,
correct.
right.
and I'll do that as long as I can. But, like
Yeah.
I said, many teachers are actually starting to move out, forming their own things, and I think that's a good thing.
So do you see that a lot in Virginia? You see the teachers forming their own schools, and
I've
maybe
seen I've seen and I've heard that from teachers from different states.
okay.
Here in Virginia, I'm seeing more of it starting to form. I see a lot more of like the homeschool
Okay, right. That's what I see
co-ops.
here. Right.
Yeah, starting up, which also in many ways, I think there's an opportunity and room even for conservative teachers to help those homeschools
Right. Yeah,
to
I think right
develop.
now the problem for teachers is that well, you can teach in co-ops and all that, but uh you won't make you won't have really enough income just by doing that.
Correct. And it's funny you should bring that up because this comes up, this has been coming up often, and I hear from teachers too that say, I'm so many years from retirement, or,
Mm,
I can't quit because I can't afford to. Unfortunately, that's also a moral thing too.
right.
So people feel compelled or scared
Yeah.
because they have a mortgage, or
Right.
they are living a lifestyle beyond,
Hmm.
you know, and the other side knows that. And so that's why they get away. It's
Right.
like, again, during the election here in Virginia, Terry McAuliffe
Mm,
talking about the vaccines. He actually came out and said, oh, force it. Force it because people will, because they have to work.
right.
So, I mean, he knew, but this is what we've done, and teachers have done it too.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we're learning, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
some of us are anyway.
Right. Yeah. Um, I think in a way, for teachers, probably something like a micro school or things like that, that make that more, uh, financially feasible. I mean, definitely you can do that. I mean, you can make a smaller school, and so basically you just get rid of admins, so you don't
Right.
have to spend money on the administrators, and
That's
you
right.
could have a couple of teachers or 3 or 4 teachers can get together and form their own school.
Right. And
And
that is true. And I do see where some people are doing that.
mhm,
Especially in places. I mean, last time I had heard there was a few that were looking at those models
mm,
out in Kansas, believe it or
mm.
not,
Oh wow,
Kansas,
wow.
you know.
Mm,
So, and that's the other thing too, people needs to understand, you might think you're living in a state that's like is really, really bad, and you think, woe is you, and so forth.
mhm.
But this is happening everywhere
Right, it
at
is. It is.
different degrees and levels, but I mean, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah. Well, like in Indiana, we are known for Midwest, and we're known for we used to have so-called what call that one room schoolhouse or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I think now because of technology, internet actually makes that kind of we can have something like that. Well,
Mhm.
I mean, definitely it's not as something back then. It's kind of like updated or upgraded, like uh, one, one room schoolhouse 2.0 or 3.0, something like that. But you can still have like 1 or 2 teachers. And with the internet, a lot of online resources, you can have a school. You could have like 20 students, you could have 30 students. And
You could.
yeah, and you could actually make a decent living you know, by
Right.
doing that. And
And
also in a way that you are really teaching. I mean, this is something I think a lot of teachers, uh, you know, uh, complaining is that it's very hard to teach nowadays because you have so many restrictions on you.
right. And that's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
That's why I've started Lamb's Academy,
Mm.
which is the beginnings of a school. But
Okay.
like I offer at this point, I offer tutoring, special education consultation, and then I offer some history classes too. So,
Okay.
you know, because you're right. I think you can use kind of that one room schoolhouse with technology, and those that can do that effectively,
All right.
they're gonna do well.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna do well.
Yeah.
So
I think so. I think so. And also in a way that you are really teaching the kids. I mean, to me, the way I'm looking at what's happening in the public school, to me, it's kind of like a building catching fire. So we need to get those kids out. And if some kids get trapped inside, then some of us have to get in to protect them.
right.
So I decided to run for school board next year. So that's kind of, my thinking, because we have to protect them. I mean,
Right.
yeah. I mean, definitely for the student, for their benefit, I think education-wise, the best form of education is still homeschooling. To have parents involved in their education, to have parents have those daily interactions, the bondings with their kids, to build a family as a unit.
Right.
That's still the best form of education, but some parents cannot afford that. And we have to, do something about that too.
Right. And I think what you're starting to see here is you got two big things that you're starting to see, and I think time's going to tell. No one really knows or can give a definitive answer on this, and that is one. I think you are now starting to see there's a shift where parents and some teachers are saying can't save the public school system as it is,
Right.
and it won't allow for it, or it can't be reformed. So you're seeing those are starting to fall out, like we've been talking. But then that doesn't mean that everyone's going to fall out. You're still going to have kids there.
Right. Yeah.
The question comes down to how many.
Right.
Are these kids that comes from homes that agree with the philosophies of what's going on? Again, we just don't know what that's going to look like.
No. Yeah.
I would also argue something that we're not even having a discussion on, and I'm saying in general, is that forget the economics factor of those kids not being able to leave. But what I would also argue and see is the kids that are staying back, what about the mental health?
Right.
Because this could very well be what we call in special education the whole behavioral issues that might be left over.
Right.
Because your regular ed, you're gifted, or anyone else that could be walking out the door, what are you going to have left? We just don't know.
No, you don't know. And also, and also the critical race theory and the neo-Marxists who are pushing for this, they are actually trying to indoctrinate those, well, kind of like basically brainwashing those kids. Not even indoctrination, it's really brainwash the kids and turn them into something they call that social justice activists.
Right.
But what actually is the kids who just been told that everything wrong with them or with their families because the society. So they build up the bitterness and anger, and then they're going to bring the destructive force into the society. And that's what the communists want. They wanted to change the whole society. I mean, if you look at what the Ibram Kennedy's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, and if you read the book about the CRT theorist, I mean, that's their goal is to have a kind of, they call actable society, whatever name they put on there, but it's going to be something new.
Right.
And in order to get something new, they have to destroy what we have.
Right.
And that is simply just, revolution. And that's what they want. And so they are not really into academics. They are really trying to make the kids, make them so angry, so bitter, and also tell them it's okay for them to, to start a riot or doing some destructive things. And that itself also very, very concerning and scaring, because so that would be the kids who probably get left in the public education in that
Right.
kind of system. And that's why I think we also need to have to stay there to make sure that won't happen.
Well, right. And you probably will always have a remnant that's there.
Right.
The question, but, and again, this goes back to, everyone has to decide what hill they're going to die
Right.
on, or
Mhm.
how far they're going to stay. I do not fault any teacher that walks out, nor
No,
do
no,
I fault any teacher that stays.
no. I
Um,
mean, it really come down to is where do you think our battle is, right?
mm,
Each one we have been, we can have not everyone doing the same thing, right?
right,
Where is what God uh, put us in? But I do have a because I am had been concerning about the inner city kids, and that is going to be a problem because they won't be able to have, most of them won't be able to have a homeschooling, and most of them they're already in a failing system. Like here, Indianapolis, we have the school district is called Indianapolis Public School. Uh, we have state standard testing, used to be called iStep, now it's called iLearn. So their average is only about 10%. Now,
yeah,
10%, the kids can read and write at the grade level. So, I mean, those people, when they get out of school, that's a huge problem.
right. And the amazing thing about
And,
that is,
and now they're going to be told that that's because the society fault. It's not because you, right?
right,
And so therefore, it's okay for you to, do something bad.
right,
And
exactly. Exactly. As I've studied more and more education philosophies and so forth,
mm,
um, I don't think anyone's really stopped to just say that um, maybe the reason why our students aren't learning is because maybe the education philosophy itself is corrupted and it's not,
yeah,
you're not there. As I study and I look at the 1700s and the early 1800s,
hmm
we had in place an education system that focused on reading, reflecting, relating, and really looking at writing. And you were the individual student, is the one that was responsible for their product and their learning and so forth.
right.
And the teacher guided. It wasn't all teacher directed. You
No,
know,
no, no.
you
Yeah.
you had the topic, but then it was kind of focused on, God is the center of everything.
hmm
But at the same time, say for example, you look at inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well,
Right.
today you have an SOL test or an I learn test that says, oh, what's the 3 inalienable rights? Well, that's it. That's just knowledge base. But at one time we looked at and we said, okay, inalienable rights, what exactly is an inalienable? And what exactly do we mean, or why is it life, liberty, pursuit of happiness
Right.
are the 3 mentioned?
hmm
We don't, that's what I'm saying. We don't get into those conversations
No,
much
no,
anymore
no,
about making it relatable to today
no.
or anything else.
Yeah, it's today the main message is that the government should take care of you. You know,
Right.
that's it. The way how they the way they understand the life and liberty and pursue happiness is because its government has to provide all that to you.
And when you think about, that's right. And when you think about that, that is a shift from Republican self-government
Right.
over to a socialist Marxist government control over your life.
Yeah.
And
So that's basically what totalitarian means, because totalitarian was, I think it was coined by Mussolini, basically saying the government will take care every aspect of your life. But we know what happened when the
Yeah.
government you give the power to the government. I mean, I lived in China, so I have personal experience. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, that has been what been pushed down from the higher education. Actually, is from the teachers, colleges, and school education. That's the ideology they were being indoctrinated.
right.
And
And
so
that
they are pushing that down to the K through 12 education.
right. And that's all. And actually, that's another topic which I'd love to
Right.
have with you on your show with regards to the history of education, of how that
Mm.
actually started
Right.
with regards to
Well,
uh,
let's do that definitely today. We'll
oh yeah,
schedule time next time. Yeah. Maybe actually I could get have you heard Justin Spear?
yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he wrote a book on that. So maybe three of us can get together and talk about the history of education. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I mean,
yep,
yeah, always good to talk with you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure coming on.
Yeah, I'm sure that we will have a, going to talk more in the future. And
Yep.
just a kind of quick thought. Do you have a plan of some kind of get together in person, maybe in the summer when school is out?
You mean for conservative teachers?
Yeah, conservative teachers America.
You know, a couple of the admins have been talking about, we need to get away to a resort, kind
Yeah.
of a thing. And I would love to. I know last summer we tried to do a conference, but the cost was too prohibitive and so forth. So, I would love
What?
to do something,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. I don't know if you are willing to come down to Indianapolis. Maybe I can find a cheaper place.
You know, you know what? I mean, look around. See, I can bounce it off the admins and we can see, what it is. And to be honest with you, I don't think it has to be anything crazy either. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
No.
It doesn't have to be a conference. I mean, I kind of think if we even set this up to where, as long as we had a head count teachers and a discount, we
Well,
can
maybe
do our own things,
maybe we can have a camping trip together.
something. I mean, something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that's been bounced around, and in the future, I would love to be able to have,
Yeah.
like a first ever Conservative Teachers of America conference.
Right. We need to get together actually in
It,
person, talk about it. Yeah.
right. It's just that we need to talk with people that's experienced on knowing how to set that stuff up.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank
Yep.
you so much. Okay.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.